Hi, Case Western. I'm Sam Bourbano, your Westlaw Academic Account Manager.
I'm Martin De Leon. I'm the case law rep for Westlaw.
And we were talking this morning about Marvin's federal jurisdiction or federal courts class this semester. And there are actually a lot of great resources that can help you understand the topics that are discussed in that class and see how practicing attorneys tackle those topics in real life.
Interesting. What are those useful tools?
I don't know. Let's go live and show you now. So let's take a look at practical law, and how to get there is probably a pretty important question. So you'll notice it here from the gray bar, or if you're on Westlaw, there's this little drop-down wedge, and if you click on it and select practical law, it'll take you there. You'll also note too that it is available. Whoop, I got the wrong little highlighter here. You'll also notice that it is available over here along the side.
Okay.
So once you go in and select practical law, it's meant as more of a browsing tool rather than a search tool. So you can, of course, run searches in the big blue bar for like class action or something like that.
So obviously federal courts, that kind of deals with litigation. So here I'm seeing litigation popping out, so I should probably click on that.
Yes, absolutely. So you can browse by the practice area or by the resource types and jurisdictions. We'll start with browsing in practice area litigation. And when we look at some of these topics that show up here, do these look like things your class will touch on this semester, Marvin?
Yes, I definitely see trial and post-trial. However, I'm trying to see if there's any specifics on federal courts. I don't know. What do you see?
Let's take a look at class actions, because
Class
maybe
actions?
that's one of the rules of civil procedure, isn't it? And it talks about whether you can certify a class or not.
Okay.
Or whether there's jurisdiction for the court to hear it, or whether it should be in a certain court or not.
So we're definitely talking about our standing, ripeness, and mootness kind of situation.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, is this person an adequate representative of the class? A bunch of other issues that might be raised under the rules of civil procedure. So when you see that on practical law, you'll notice these resource types. You can push those out so that you can start with maybe one of these overview practice notes. So class actions overview if you don't know anything about the topic and you're just curious about it. Or you can even filter from some of these along the side. Toolkits are another great starting point because those link you out to a lot of other different types of content. When you start with class actions overview, the cool thing about this, it's governed by Rule 23, so maybe it is a FedJur issue. Interesting. You can see here, it will not only tell you in very plain, straightforward English what these issues are, but also what the elements are under the rules, and links to salient cases that discuss them, and the factors that they identify.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. If you scroll down to the bottom too, one thing that you'll notice on practical law is how it's connected. So you mentioned just some general civil procedure things, commencement and pleadings is probably a Civ Pro topic, yeah. And then you can see here practice notes, so like settling.
Okay.
I've never settled a case on these. I've always taken them to court and won. Yeah. Anyway, so the point is you can see that this is part of a bigger ball of wax.
Okay,
right?
So basically there's a lot more dynamics within the actual toolkit.
So this document, when you scroll to the bottom of anything on practical law, you see how it's all connected to these other things. So like, we've got this case, we're gonna sue, but hey, guess what? Before we go talk to our clients, maybe we should think about how we should talk to them so that we don't create any ethical or privilege problems.
Okay.
That may be a topic discussed in your course, but regardless, it's important to know if that's something that you want to like do for money and practice and a living. Yeah. So you mentioned standing. Hey, non-statutory grounds for challenging class action, standing and ascertainability.
Okay.
Click on that practice note. It's going to tell you what those things are. And it's also going to, again, link you out to content on Westlaw that can help tell you what the elements are. Hey, there's a circuit split over it, so maybe that's interesting to know. And then again, scroll to the bottom and see that there's toolkits, model checklists, things that will be helpful when you're tackling something that you don't, necessarily have a background in. let's take a look at some of these options along the side. Do any of these look familiar to you, maybe from another research platform that we train on all the time?
This right here is like our very familiar folders, which can be a very useful, instrument to organize all your legal research.
So wait, are you telling me that if I put this into a folder on practical law, it will show up on Westlaw?
Yes, it will.
Oh, no way. I feel like that's just a brilliant idea. Maybe this is a good way to get our research started. So once again, returning to the homepage of Practical Law, because we've been doing these videos, all these schools with all these different things like data breach law. Oh my gosh. Hospital M&A. Today we're talking about FedJur. You start in a practice area here. You look at some of these resource types, and then you just see how it's connected to other issues.
So what makes Practical Law like up to date with all the nuanced laws of the legal fields?
Yeah, kind of figuring out what's
who's behind this.
Funny you should ask, because if you scroll down here to the side and click on Meet the Team, you'll actually see who writes Practical Law, and these folks are some of the most heavy hitters at some of the most heavy hitting law firms and law departments that are out there. These folks are the people that you would want to work for if you decided that you wanted to be a big time litigator, because they have been doing it, and so now they can give you advice. Maybe not in person, maybe not in the context of being their summer associate or something like that, but in terms of this guidance here that they author. One thing that I will note, if you're just going to run a search here for Practical Law data breach, because I want to show you that's an option, that's something that you could do, you will see the date stamps, where on the green where it says it's maintained, that's something the editors are constantly updating, versus sometimes you'll get something that just says law as stated on a certain date. Law stated on March 2015, right, published on. So these green maintains are really the ones to be looking for. Tons of other amazing stuff on Practical Law, like create your own kind of 50-state survey on different laws using these state Q&As. You can see what big deals are coming down that the federal regulators have signed off on in mergers and acquisitions, or that they filed with the SEC. Tons of stuff. We'd love to talk with you more about it, so drop us a line. The way you can do that, messaging along the side here, connect with your account manager, or if you're on TWEN, you will actually see our names here along that left-hand side where it says your account manager, your student rep, things like that. So thank you for watching, and we'll talk with you all again soon. I'm going to show us here 1 second, and have a great day. Bye, everyone.
All right, bye.